Thank you.
all the time.
Okay,
You
call
never
this
feel
meeting
bad.
to order. Swampscott School Committee, Thursday, November 6th at 6 p.m. here at the high school. We don't have our students tonight, and we have Glenn joining us remotely. Thank you, Glenn. And I anticipate this to be a pretty short meeting, since it was an unexpected meeting. As many, probably nobody's watching this, but we had a summit.
We have one person.
Oh, good. We had a financial summit scheduled for tonight that had to be postponed. And I can tell you that my counterparts, Katie and Eric, were equally as upset by it. So we're going to make it happen next week. And, you know, it is primarily about capital. So sorry, I just got Glenn is saying that he can't hear me. I do see that. Oh, there. Okay. Yeah, I saw that Swampscott TV had the mute on. Okay, so next week we are going to have the meeting. It's primarily going to be about capital. So whoever can be there, please be there. And hopefully this is the beginning of a quarterly meeting between us all. So we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will open it up for public comments. Nothing for you? Oh, okay. Even with a guest. Anybody online, can we tell?
No one has their hand up.
Okay. So we'll just dive into committee comments. If you want to start, Miguel?
Sure. It's coming back. Okay, here we go. I just wanted to kind of thank our governor and all the representatives for kind of getting some money over to us, since I know we got that $35K for the track, to try to get that kind of started and planning. And I know we've got some stuff for that playground to redo, like the bottom part. I'm forgetting what it's called.
That's
The surface. There we go.
Yeah.
Getting that going.
You're a little young for the noun issues.
I deal all day with picking words in a help center. So I just wanted to say thank you for getting that in our direction, and also just thank you to our team that got our budget and everything kind of where it should be and ready for this next cycle when we start our summit to hopefully get under 1% again.
Yep.
Did you see Maura Healy today in the news
No.
saying she would consider rolling back Proposition 2.5? It's an interesting conversation that I just listened to.
Huh?
Yeah, I know. Sort of just like, you know, the struggle is real. Yeah, I just thought that was, I mean, I have no idea if anything comes of it, but it
Yeah,
was someone
but at
who
least it's a
posed that
discussion.
question and she didn't flinch. That was just interesting. Yeah.
Anything else you want to?
No, I'm curious for the superintendent's report. I hope you talk about the no social media thing up here and how's it going, because I've heard, I mean, you don't have to tell me now or whatever,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
I think that's, I love that initiative. So even if it's just, you know, feet in the water this year and it grows, but I think that's cool. Nothing else.
John?
Yeah, kind of to that point, I did read this morning that Melrose had approved a $13 million Prop 2.5 override yesterday mostly for schools, but for other, you know, administrative services as well. So that was interesting to see.
Oh.
So I'm just curious, I heard something about the track, but does anybody have more detail about, you know, the money or anything else?
I just know, I'm pretty certain the track is going to be significantly more than the 35,000. I think it's going to be
Right.
closer to $1 million. So I don't know how much that's a
Million.
I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't know for sure, but I thought that was the number I heard. So maybe that is just for the designing. I'm not sure, but Max will be here. Max will be here next Thursday. So
This will be a big part of our,
Okay.
yeah, big part of the summit.
yeah.
Okay. I don't have a lot. I do want to say that I was so impressed by the open house here last night and what I've seen on social media and what you shared with me. It was amazing energy, and I'm really proud of the district. And I think other than that, I have nothing new to report
Okay.
or share.
You got,
Sorry, go ahead.
Glenn.
Oh, Glenn, sorry, I forgot about you.
You're not the first to say that, Amy. They won't be the last. My apologies to my fellow committee members for not being there in person today. I also just want to say what Suzanne said. I've been reading a lot about, a lot of people thinking about Prop 2.5. Maybe it has seen the end of its time eventually, and I think it'd be a good thing. However, I do want to call out, I was lucky enough to go to the girls volleyball playoff game on Saturday out in southeastern Mass, and the enthusiasm for the girls and the crowd on both sides was amazing. Thanks to Kelly Wolf, who I saw there. I said hello to, and I said congratulations to the coaches as well. Unfortunately, Swampscott fell in defeat, but it was a great match, a really lot of fun. And they have a really young team, so I look forward to seeing in the future. And then to Suzanne's point again, I did last a whopping 4.5 days on the no social media, which Amy, who knows me well, said that's a really big accomplishment for me. Other than that, the last thing I do have, just as a kind of a community thing, Shore Diversity is having a meeting on Tuesday, November 11th at First Church. And I know they'd like as many people there as possible, so I hope if you can, you join. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you, Miguel, for making sure I didn't forget that. So I will say, I just want to point out that Jason does not have a superintendent's report tonight since we, didn't have it on the agenda. So anything that he does have is sort of off the cuff.
I have some stuff off the
So,
cuff.
Yeah, so take it away.
Okay, so let's start with no social media November. I deleted my Instagram account. Megan Ramirez really spearheaded this at the high school. Mrs. Otto got Polaroid cameras, and they're using Polaroid cameras around the school, which is awesome. So she has pictures everywhere. But what I'll do is once it's over, we'll see if we can get some data and some information about how it went, how many kids actually did it, and we'll get back to you. But I think it's great because it is interesting. It's like, we talk to the kids constantly about, like, you got to get off the phones. And I know as the middle school principal, when parents came in 5th grade, I used to always say, you might remember, like, listen, I'm not judging you if you gave your kid a phone already, but, like, it's a problem because things that happen on the weekend or at night are coming our way, and I didn't give them a phone. So we're saying get off the phones, get off the phones, get off the phones, but then we put them on the Chromebooks all day. So it's really, and then we're pushing our social media as well. That's why I do love the Parent Square piece of it. That it's something other than just the Instagram or Twitter or whatever. So I do think we've made some adjustments in that way, and it'll be interesting to see. I mean, the data's out there, the research is out there about anxiety and depression and all the harm that kids have from looking at screens all day, and we have to get them outside and doing more collaborative work. So hopefully this is sort of a step in the right direction, and that we can sort of right that ship a little bit. But it's hard, and I hear the pressure. I totally understand. I mean, I have kids too. And, I'm sure that day is coming where they're going to get a phone, or because they have me, maybe not, I don't know. But, yeah, we're certainly,
Hold strong.
yeah, as long as I can. The play last Wednesday night was unbelievable. It was like a hard-cut Poe, scary, like, it was, the amount of times I was, like, it was jarring. So it was so good. But it was funny because I had taken my 7-year-old the year before to Urinetown because Mr. Pearson said, like, oh, it's funny, you should go, it's going to be great. And so I asked him again, I said, well, what do you think about Poe? And he said, well, if you like Urinetown, you'll like Poe. And my 7-year-old bailed last minute, and thank God. So, because it was intense. It was really good. The talent on stage was incredible. The kids did a fantastic job in such a well-run production.
It's awesome.
Speaking of shore diversity, Emily, Ms. Otto and I met with Shore Diversity. We've met 2 times since the beginning of the school year, and we're trying to really empower certain clubs to put in for RFPs for certain money that Shore Diversity has. We talked about what we've done the last 5 or 6 years now at the middle school was the Black History Month door decorating contest. It's become a huge hit. We're trying to get a poet down to the elementary school, and we're talking about what we can do at the high school to sort of ramp up Black History Month and just making sure we're honoring, everybody as well, not just Black History Month, but, some of the even more forgotten sort of
Yeah,
groups.
let's make sure those girls who came to present to us last year, who went to that, the sort of Empowered Girls Forum, I think they were from I know
From
Crystal,
Color?
Crystal Lynch came in
Yep,
with them. Let's
yep.
just make sure that they apply for that money too.
Okay, yeah. Well, it went to all the principals.
Okay, good.
And so they're going to talk to all the clubs, and then they're going to
I just think that's one of those things that it's like a great idea, but until you need the money, it's hard to remember to ask for it.
Well, I'll tell you, back to the door decorating contest, Lisa Harris every year is like giving up all her supplies. Obviously it's a great cause and everybody loves it, and the work is incredible. And we had last year we had every single room, the door was decorated, it was great. And then she's like, I need supplies, and we have no money. So it's gonna be nice to sort of, that's a place where we can look for some money too.
Okay.
All right. Open house last night, I'm not trying to be dramatic, was the best open house I've ever been a part of. Not only that I could ever even imagine. So picture this, if you weren't there. You walk into the Swampscott High School, and you have Eddie Rovey leading the band in the atrium, playing Nirvana and the Killers, and you have Shore Diversity next to him. You have live TV streaming with students doing live interviews in the atrium while parents are watching in the TV studio. Once you get your head around all that, there's 40 clubs in the cafeteria. There's all the sports teams in the cafeteria as well. Then you get called into the auditorium, and the chorus is singing time after time as people come in and sit. It was just, then Emily, Ms. Otto spoke, and the parents we had a ton of positive feedback. People felt like the energy was incredible. I felt it was palpable. I was so excited to be there. And certainly thank the teachers and Ms. Otto and Ms. Kelly for putting that together.
And that's for the rising 8th graders. to
Yes.
be thinking
It could be,
what's
yeah,
happening.
it's rising 8th, it could be anybody that would consider it. So, but we had a significant amount, well, when I say significant, between 5 and 10 families that currently attend private school that, Mrs. Otto seemed to think we flipped. So it was really something. It was an incredible event. There's certainly, if I was on the fence, I would have walked in here and said, oh my, why would you go anywhere else? Yeah. It was pretty impressive.
That's exciting.
Yeah. And that's all I have.
Okey dokey. So we need to, do you want to speak to the school calendar?
Yeah, so I don't know, if you remember last year, we had approved a calendar and then rescinded it a couple weeks later. I don't know if that's where there was a glitch, but for some reason, the November 13th middle school night conference was not on, it wasn't voted on. I don't know what happened, to be honest with you. So November 13th is coming up, and we're planning on night conferences because if you remember a few years ago, we added a second night conference to sort of give more options for working families that, they can, and those night slots were always like concert tickets, and now you have 2 night chances, which is certainly helpful. So the middle school would like to go ahead and have that November 13th night conference as well.
And the union's good with this?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no pushback or that it's last minute?
There was conversation, but I think most people knew it was coming. I don't know how many people
That it was
checked.
more of an
because-
error than
Yes,
anything else?
yes.
Okay.
They've been.
Is anything getting removed, or we're just
No.
adding that onto it?
Just adding. They-
It's not like we're taking it half.
We're not negotiating it.
Doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's.
No, I feel like it was like a fait accompli, and it obviously just got dropped somehow.
Yeah,
So we just have to take an official vote on it.
yes, please.
So I will entertain a vote to approve the amended 25-26 school calendar.
I'll second the motion.
Do I have no, I
Or
need
I'll
a
make the
motion.
motion, sorry.
Okay, and now I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. And because Glenn is remote, let's just record everybody's vote.
Yes.
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 Glenn?
Yes.
All right, that's unanimous, yes. Okay, that was easy. That was the primary goal of our being here tonight. All right, and then our next topic is, I wanted to bring the superintendent's goals and the feedback back around so that we could have a decision and we can move forward. I don't want this to kind of hang out in the air for a while. So I watched last week's meeting, and it seemed like there was a fair amount of consensus, but then that there was also a little bit of conversation and talking with Jason about sort of the formatting of it. Do you feel comfortable talking a little bit about, like, where you, like, what you need from us?
Well, I would say that I think, like you saw last week, I took all the feedback, put it into slides last week, and I think that there was some discussion about whether or not that we kept what I sort of had put out there and made a few tweaks with certain things. I mean, there was some talk about going, instead of having like 3-night things, you say 1 to 4. There was some debate about that. I will do whatever the committee wants me to do. It's
I think like my takeaway or what I was hoping for was, I mean, your formatting, I mean, I appreciated it sort of more like in a table format. It's just easier for like my weird brain. But the formatting didn't matter as much as having measurable goals and SMART goals, right? And that was sort of what was lacking a little bit, like how we're going to measure it and what the evidence is going to be. Like, I think we have to parse that out a little bit. I mean, I think that's kind of a work in progress a little bit, like what the evidence is going to be, but I think like having goals, like how we're going to measure, instead of saying we're just going to, review this or have progress over 3 years, it was going to be sort of a little bit better defined.
So was there anything in particular, like?
I think like everything that said, sorry, I didn't print it out, but it was sort of everything that said review or measure progress over 3 years or whatever. It was sort of like, we just need to know what progress was. Like, first year, it's going to look like this, we're going to get this far, and second year, we're going to get this far, sort of. Like, it was just sort of a little bit more ambiguous, most of the stuff, especially the ones that, I mean, I think there's things that could be done and finished first year, and they should sort of say,
I'll be doing this year.
yeah, like, yeah, it doesn't have to, I mean, I think we talked about that a little bit, like which ones sort of lent themselves more to having first, second, and third year goals versus something a little bit more fluid that said by the first year should be able to do this, and if not, sort of, we talked about mid-year corrections or seeing if things aren't going as they were planned.
So one of the things that I want to be careful about, and Jason and I have talked about this a little bit, is and I think sometimes it's just the language that we use, especially when we speak casually. The idea that, of having fluid goals versus having goals, and feeling like, ensuring that we don't have a superintendent who is feeling like the goalposts are moving.
No, they shouldn't be moving, and that's sort of why I'm arguing to have definitive sort of objectives to the goals or things that are measurable, because if we don't, it's a lot easier to move the goalposts, like, and we should say, 9 out of 10 times this is going to happen, or by this date this is going to happen. And then, I mean, because we have to, I mean, part of it is like we have to do evaluations, and if we have moving goals, or if we don't actually know what the definitive goal is, it's really hard to say you've achieved it or not. I mean, it's for the sake of evaluating it too, not just achieving it.
So I think one of the things that we also talked about last time was, I think one of the concerns I had was that we were getting too prescriptive with the amount of goals and what the measurements were going to be. Yes, I think we need to have you know, Jason's gonna aspire to this particular goal, whether it's a range or a specific item in particular, you know, we can evaluate the superintendent on that. But my concern was that it was being so prescriptive that the superintendent would spend an inordinate amount of time, in my view, filling out forms to say he met this particular goal or a subpart of another goal, where as a new superintendent, and I think I said this the last time, that, you know, we want to empower you to be successful, especially as a new superintendent.
Yeah.
What we don't want you doing is diverting your attention and your resources and your time to worrying about, did I meet this very specific prescriptive goal? And if you know that you have a goal and it's achievable, and you can come to us and say, look, this is kind of the range I was given, or this was kind of the expectation for this particular goal, and here's how I think I met it, when you come back and report to us. To me, that was more than reasonable, rather than saying, you know what, I met paragraph 2, subpart A, little Romanet 2, I met those. I don't think that's appropriate, especially as a first-time super. So again, you weren't here the last time, but that's kind of what I
Yeah.
said the last time, just that
Well,
was one of my concerns.
It's funny because that sort of stuck out for me, and especially during our conversation of like discussing like how many times you're going to meet with this kind of a meeting versus that kind of a meeting. And I think that you've sort of hit on something, which is that it's not really for us to, like, that those numbers are numbers based on what your sense is and what you're learning and what your colleagues need, you know, what your employees need from you and what the parents need from you. So I don't want to get nitpicky like that. But I also remember back in the day when you remember we had on our agenda, we would have all of these codes that was related to,
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I remember
ways to measure, and like, so this is a marker that I have measured this goal. And, you know, that became really cumbersome for the superintendent and almost meaningless for us.
Well, but yes and no, because I remember the former superintendent had a file on our computer where she dropped evidence in it all the time because we had identified who the collaterals were going to be and what the evidence was going to be. And
then we got a notebook like this.
Yeah, but Superintendent Kalishman said the same. He showed us a great spreadsheet where he's keeping
Yeah.
track of what he's doing, right? And that's the whole point. It's not, the point isn't, there's no sort of gotcha. It's really just about having data. It's about saying, I'm going to do this, and this is how it's going to be measured that I did it or not. And there's no like punishment for not doing it. I mean, it's a first-year superintendent. We all know right now, unless you, excuse me, suck, you're going to be proficient. Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like,
Do you think
it's
I suck?
no, but I'm just saying, like,
No,
it's like, but the whole point is goals need to be smart, right? They need to be measurable. They need to have timelines. They just need to be goals. They need to be something you can evaluate.
So do you think, though,
there has to be a tiny bit of objectivity to it, not just subjectivity.
So do you think that means the school committee laying out very specifically what that is? Or do you think that is?
No, it's
like keeping that database that he has of like.
Yeah, no, I think it's totally fine. I think it was really helpful when it came time for us to evaluate in the past. It was so nice to say, this is my goal, and these are the things I want you to evaluate this goal on.
Okay.
Like, I don't want you to look at everything I did. These are the things we decided you're going to look at to evaluate this goal.
Yeah, because I would
And
imagine.
that was really helpful because you do so much, like, and there's so much stuff like in our drive that we could look through ourselves, but it's better to pull out 5 things that you say proved that you did this. And whether it's just agendas for meetings or it's just a list of everything you went to or whatever, it's not I mean, you're doing it anyway because you're going, and these things all are all sort of
They're all
documented.
happening.
They're all happening, and they're all documented. I mean, Nancy's got a calendar of all this stuff anyway. Like,
Hey, Amy?
Please, go ahead.
So I really see both sides of the street. You know, my main concern is as we've all said, this is Jason's first year. And what I don't want to do is get in a situation that we are measuring Jason on, things he doesn't know yet. And what I want to see is kind of a steady progression throughout the year, as we talked about, not revisiting the whole goal thing, but just talking about it maybe more than we would in the past, in the middle of the year. I see both sides. I want to make it as broad as we can for a first year superintendent. As we go forward in years 2 to 10, then yes, those very specific goals I think become more important. I think for the first time though, and I said this to Jason the other day, is that I just want to be very careful of burnout. I want Jason to focus on really what's important. And the first 6-12 months, we just may not know what's important, and we may not have a firm, understanding of what to measure in a new superintendent. So yes, they have to be measurable, as Suzanne said, but I want to make them broad enough in the first year that we're not saying, oh, you didn't go to 3 of these or 2 of these or 1 of these, or you didn't attend this meeting or that meeting, or this benchmark. I'd rather have we have to ease into this. So yes, we need goals, because yes, we have to evaluate, but at the same time, I think for the first year, I think they can be a little broader than what maybe would happen in years 2 through 10.
So I'll say that I'm not really hearing two sides of this. I don't, it doesn't seem that disparate. It just seems like that it's just about codifying it, and look, we're talking about the CEO of an organization, and in that position, you don't have, you're going to attend 5 meetings. That's a much lower level of employee. So I think, and based also on like what I've seen, especially with that grid that you keep, and I'm impressed that is something that you could keep up with. I think that burnout happens when burnout happens, and not because of our goals. So, yeah, of course, we don't want our super to burn out, but I don't.
But we don't want our
Yeah.
super worrying about his goals, thinking, I've been put in a position where I might fail because of the goals that were
Well, I think
too
it's too
know,
rigid.
too rigid to start with. So,
Well, but maybe,
back
so
to Glenn's
that's it.
point.
But I think what I'm hearing Suzanne say is that, like, having a measurable goal
I think
doesn't mean that it's rigid, or that it is, like,
I guess
like
it should be, I guess what I'm
minute,
hearing,
like
it
it's
should be
not
appropriate
minute.
for a first year.
yeah. So,
You guys, I think like there's a total misunderstanding here. Like the goals are Jason's goals that he's making for himself to do his job and to accomplish what he wants to accomplish for the district. These are his goals, and like he's going to work towards his goals. This is like what he wants for the district. And his goals are pretty general. Like, I want the district to be better. I want to communicate with everyone. Those are very general goals.
mm-hmm.
And just showing up at these meetings or going to the things he goes to all the time is showing that he's doing this goal. So that's his job. So I'm looking for things that are not just like doing his job.
mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, but like, it's a kind of offensive to me to say we don't want to burn out the first year superintendent, or let's go easier and make it more general. Like, we didn't do that for Pam. like it's not, this is like his job, and we're his boss, and we need to evaluate performance. And honestly, this is how I would look at any boss, right? Like, to say, like, this is what I plan to achieve this first year, and we're judging him on whether or not he achieved it. And it's not to say he did a bad job if he didn't achieve it. Like, there's plenty of goals that are huge and that need a mid-cycle correction and you can't achieve, or there's some goals where you decide, wow, that wasn't even that important, I didn't want to achieve it at the end, right? But this is us managing a new employee.
Yep.
And I think it's really important that goals mean something. They're not just like, oh, you did a great job this year. I mean,
I don't think we're
this
saying
is
So let me
just-
push back on the whole group, and please chime in as you want. And I think because I'm coming to this, having had sidebar conversations with you, that it seems like we're really all in the same place, and that you understand that what you're asking for, Suzanne, is not out of the ordinary. In fact, it's a typical, it's a SMART goal. You know,
Right, and I think what I'm saying
and I
is the
think that-
plan didn't have those in them to start with. It didn't have like, these are the bench, I mean,
Well, I
you
think
did.
that- I
You
think-
started with that, like having the benchmarks or whatever, like what the categories are we're gonna look at. But then there's just,
Well, I think it didn't have the indicators,
yeah,
but but I think that those indicators aren't something that we necessarily have to say up front. It's gonna
No.
be indicated by this, but that's gonna be something that the professional brings to us and says, and this is what I did, and here are my indicators.
think-
And
I
we have
this
to
is-
decide.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, those are, but I'm
That's what an evaluator does.
Yeah, I mean, but it's up to him to decide what indicators he wants to use and what evidence he wants to say. It's just helpful to have that sort of, you're thinking about that ahead of time so that you're putting together the right data to give to us. So it's not a heavy lift, so that you're doing this all along. And that's why I argue it sort of has to be part of like the plan so that you sort of have this big picture that you're working towards. I mean, it's not about, it's just about being thorough. It's just about all of us like marching in the same direction and having the same expectations come mid-cycle review and end of cycle review, that we all sort of have the same expectations that this is what it's going to look like, and that if it's not going to look like that, we've talked about it ahead of time.
Yeah.
Based on what the indicators are. Like, you know, they were impossible to achieve because we had this huge issue in the middle of the year or whatever. I'm not,
See, I agree with you up until that moment of the indicators, because I feel like those indicators are not necessarily something that you can say up front and say, I'm going to demonstrate that with X, Y, and Z. Because I think that a lot of what's going to happen is going to be what happens along the way.
See, I agree with you, is that, we obviously need goals, and we have, the superintendent has those goals. But those goals are gonna ebb and flow.
See, I disagree with you there.
Or, I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
I disagree with you there. I don't think those goals
Yeah.
ebb and flow. I think those goals are goals. And that goal ebbing and flowing is changing the goalposts.
Right, so I misspoke, maybe not ebb and flow, but as you said, and one of you guys had said that, there may be changes throughout the year that's what I mean by ebb and flow, that something may happen that may not make the goal attainable, or a goal may turn out to be not an important, as someone said, not an important goal.
can I?
But I just want them to be fluid enough that although they're measurable, they can be changeable. And I don't want them just too rigid. I just don't think that is, in this juncture of time, that is just gonna work for us.
So
At least for me
I
personally.
I have an example. Like, I'm just looking at the goals right now. I just pulled them up. So the goals are great, and the measures and the indicators they've already been included in these, right? So goal number 1 says conduct thorough student growth and achievement assessment and address meaningful areas, both of strengths and weaknesses, use evidence-based practices. Okay, and then there's an objective of how to do it. And then there's 4 different indicators of sort of like assessment measures, student learning measures, data-informed decision-making. Those are the indicators, like the areas that they're going to be assessed on, right? And the strategy is to collaborate with the director of teaching and learning, to utilize the data within data analysis system, open architects, and yada, yada, yada. And then it says measures, over a 3-year period, progress monitored each year, action plan developed and implemented from the open architects data to meet SPS school improvement plan goals. So to me, that's where this falls short, when it says measure over a 3 years period. So the first year, if he does nothing, that's still okay because it's going to be a 3-year period. And I'm saying the first year, you learn the open architect software and you start building out a data set. Second year, you started using that data set to do this. I'm arguing for more specific things here to not let 3 years go by before we say, oh, I guess progress wasn't achieved. I'm asking for.
But if 3 years goes by without progress achieved, that's our fault.
But there's no way for us to measure it because it says over a 3-year period, progress is monitored each year. It's not giving us a finish line, sort of, or even if it's a kind of a fluid finish line, it's not giving us points to measure. And so all of us can say he achieved it or he didn't achieve it,
But
because
we
we
wouldn't.
have different expectations about what this means. Like, to you, it means he's going to get it all done at the end, and it's okay that it didn't all get done. To me, it means he had to do this part for the first year.
See, I
didn't see it
disagree.
that way.
I disagree because I see it as a continuum and not as okay, we're going to get to the 3rd year and be like, okay, so where is it?
No, but I'm saying.
Hold on, that at the end, at the 6-month checkup, and then again at the 1-year checkup, that our person is coming to us and saying, this is what's happening. These are the measures. This is how I am showing you what my progress is. And rather than us sitting here and saying, well, this is what this is, yeah.
I'm arguing that's backwards. I'm arguing that he has to set some goals for himself. He has to say, first year, we are going to learn open architect, we're going to practice with it, and we're going to get our first set of data, and we're going to figure out how we're going to use it going forward. And then when he comes to us and he says, you know what, I only got one thing done, and he says, I couldn't do it because we had this, whatever the excuses, or I decided to change mid-course or whatever. But I think in order to achieve goals, you actually have to set goals. and the goal isn't, I'm going to get this done in 3 years. Like, goals are steps along the way to achieve an objective, right? Or objectives along the way to achieve a goal. And so that's what I'm arguing for. I'm arguing for more specific things. And I think it's helpful too for like a procrastinator to have little projects to do to get to the big end. And
For the record, I'm not a procrastinator.
I'm just
Hold
using.
on, okay.
I'm using that as-
Hold on.
I'm using that as an example.
know.
Is like there's nothing measurable about this other than it's going to be complete over 3 years. What does complete mean?
It does have check-ins, though, if I'm reading this, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess that's where, I think this is where I feel like I have a disconnect from you, Suzanne, because I look at this and I say that they're implementing this open architects, and there is a school improvement plan. We know that there's a school improvement plan that changes annually, hopefully not too much, because these are big issues. But that it feels to me like there is enough information within that to see that this is a progression and not something that is a finish line.
I know, but is the progression okay at 10%, or is it okay at 30% a year? Is it what's the rate of the progression? And also, we're in charge of evaluating superintendent every year.
Yeah.
Like, so we need a bench, we need to know what it's supposed to look like at the end of year one. And to have everything sort of not finished, it looks like.
Is it that it's not finished, or is it that?
Yes, if year one,
if he's in progress and he's
if
meeting
year
the
one
progress,
ends, he's in progress.
then I think
So
he's met it.
he's in progress. Sorry, this sounds so weird to be talking about you with.
I know, I feel like I should
you're
be here. That's okay. But how about this?
But
Because I get it. What if, and I don't, so the idea when I was writing that goal was really about like, okay, I've been in the middle school for 14 years, but really I need to get a bigger that satellite lens that I talked about, like, what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses? I know them from 5 to 8, but I don't know them, well, I have an idea, but I'm learning now what we do really well and where we have relative areas of growth. So what if I go back and if it's okay, just do 1 year, and we take the second and third year out of it for right now,
Hold on.
and then I can sort of attack the 1 year piece. I was under the impression that, I don't know why, and that you wanted a 3 year
Yeah.
piece here, but if you'd like, I can go to 1 year, give the measurables, knowing that year 2 might change. It probably will, I mean, depending on what I find. That's just an example for this one. And I can really focus in on that, what we're doing this year to make a difference and to see where we're at.
What's your entry plan, 3 years? Like a 3 year, like, is your entry plan a 3 year, right, or?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, well, no, it's the first 180 days. It was 90 days and then,
Okay.
yeah.
I think like 3 years is okay, because we talk about having a 5-year sort of school district improvement plan, right? We sort of talk about having, doing, 20 to 25, 25 to 30, or whatever. So I think like these long-term goals are okay, but I'm arguing they just need to be broken down into things like that. Like, and you can say this is the goal, it's a 3-year goal, the intention is to do this the first year, but I hear you guys saying I'm being it feels like you guys think I'm being mean.
No, I don't see it as mean.
I used the word prescriptive, that's the word I had used before. It's just, I feel like we're micromanaging the superintendent if we go down this path. And I'm not seeing a lot of upside to doing that. He's going to be checking in with us regularly. We're going to be evaluating, and I agree, you should say at 3. I don't like just going with the 1.
What are we evaluating?
I feel like.
John, seriously, like, what are we evaluating?
It doesn't all need to be numbers driven. We don't
No.
need to see he met 40% on the way to 100 over a 3-year period. We can look at it and assess what he's bringing to us for
But what if I
his
think it's not
progress.
enough? What if you think, oh, he's making some progress, this is great, and I say, oh my God, there's no way this is great, like, this is only this far along?
Then we
Well,
have
that's why
we
there's
have a
5 of us.
6-month mark where we're looking at that and saying,
Just talk about that.
like, where are we? So that it's not at the end of the year where all of a sudden it's like you failed.
My concern, and again, I'm just going to come back to it again. My concern is by getting too detail-oriented, too prescriptive with very specific milestones here, is that if for any reason these milestones aren't met or falls a little bit short, then it looks like a failure.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's reasonable, especially for a first-year super. We're trying to help the superintendent be successful here. And one of the things we said right at the very beginning was, we're going to be much more hands-on and have regular updates from the superintendent on his progress. We're not checking in a year from now. We're going to have regular check-ins. So if things are, not trending in the right direction, we'll know it and we'll be able to have those conversations. But I just don't think having these very, very specific goals, achievements, whatever you want to call them in here, I don't think that serves the greater purpose here, which is to let the superintendent find his feet, get comfortable in the role, and know where he needs to focus. And maybe if we get too prescriptive with these goals, we have him focusing on the wrong thing. And that's really what my concern is, kind of looking at all of this.
I think it's just a philosophical difference of how you're viewing his success or helping him to success versus how I view helping him to success. And I would probably argue I'm probably pushing, I have high expectations, and that's just who I am, and I'm not like, I'm not gonna, I want him to succeed, and I want to do everything I can to help him succeed. But at the end of the day, I'm a strong believer that he has to succeed on his own, and he has to have goals and achieve them. And and so to me, you're right, you're right, I am putting in a much more prescriptive and a sort of with a little bit higher expectations of, not holding hands in the same way. And I think I hear that, I mean, I hear my, I hear.
That's not what I'm saying.
No,
I'm not
no,
saying
but-
holding hands,
no,
and I'm not saying we're
I don't
lowering
mean- I don't mean
expectations.
holding hands, I mean like,
I am definitely not suggesting that our expectations should be lower.
Lower, yeah.
They're definitely the same high expectations. There is absolutely no disconnect
Yeah.
with high expectations. I think I'm looking at this from a more holistic point of view.
yeah, I guess you are.
And it doesn't mean it's the wrong view. I think it's, for this particular point in time with the new superintendent, I think that's the right approach for us to take, and not burden the superintendent down with worrying about meeting, these very specific milestones, which, again, in a year from now, if we need to revisit this, it's like,
I think that there's a medium here. I think that there's a medium here, because, Suzanne, you're right, that this isn't just a, how do you feel? Do you feel like he did okay or not? But I think that we're also not walking away and coming back a year from now and looking at it. This is a road we're all going down together. And it's not like there aren't going to be bi-monthly meetings where we're all giving our feedback of, well, how does this fit in? Or is that a good spend of your time? Or do you think that this is doable? But you also have a lot of, there's a lot that, what do you want to say?
I was gonna say, I can kind of see a little bit of what Suzanne is kind of saying here. Like, when I look at this goal right here, like, I do kind of expect that probably by year one, you might have created like 4 action plans, because you've listed 4 of them here. So, but I also kind of see like the other point where it's like, okay, well, now that you've checked the first box of the 4 action plans, and that's in year one, and you also have in year one that you're going to try to improve those things by like 10%, but you haven't fully learned the data fully yet in that first year, then that kind of shows that you failed because you didn't meet the second part that was attached to it. But I understand that you're kind of asking, like, build in those baby steps.
I think I just wanna all evaluate from the same bar. And I appreciate that we're gonna talk about this all year long and revisit this, but we don't. I mean, we haven't in the past. It's like,
We haven't in the last few years.
right, but even ever, we've maybe revisited it once, but we don't, it's not on the agenda, how the goal's going. Like, it's just
will
not,
be.
these are
Well,
goals
see,
that.
Suzanne, if I could here, it hasn't been on the agenda because we had a seasoned superintendent who, in the last many years prior to this, went through COVID. So I do take.
We didn't
This
do
isn't
it.
a criticism,
We
Glenn.
didn't, it's not a criticism, we didn't do it before either,
Yeah, I
before
mean,
she
'cause,
was
like,
seasoned.
we've all sat at this.
But
at this
I'm
seat.
just saying, this isn't school committee business. Like, what he's doing is operational, and this isn't about policy, it's not about budget, and it's not about hiring or firing him. This is not stuff that should be at our regular meetings. This isn't stuff we necessarily need to talk about, whether or not he's doing this. This is operational, and he's doing this as his job. And for us to put it on the agenda and constantly ask about it is sort of a waste of our time with other business. But also it's a little bit enabling. And
Yeah, I disagree.
that sounds so negative. I don't mean it in a negative way, but it feels. It feels a little babying, like that we're not trusting him to be able
See,
to do his goals, like the professional that he is,
I
like that he has,
think-
that we have to keep
I
checking
think
in.
180 from there. I think that he's enough of a professional that we don't need to have those baby steps.
I agree. I totally agree with you. I am totally saying we don't need those baby steps. We don't need to keep checking in and having those baby steps. We need to have a mid-cycle review and an end-cycle review, and did you do it? And I'm arguing at those reviews, we need to start at the same level, like this is what we expect you're gonna show us. And because we haven't had those checks the whole way, because like, I think I'm gonna agree with whatever you guys wanna do, and I'm gonna probably come at this from the way I'm still gonna come at it.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and I'll probably be, tougher than the rest of you, because my expectations will be different, because I am looking at these goals as how I think they should be achieved year after year, or whatever. It's just, actually, I don't even know, maybe that's not even true, maybe I won't, but I'm arguing for something that's, and it doesn't have to say 10%, I don't know. I'm just having a hard time, these goals not being measurable. The goals are supposed to be SMART goals. We learn that when you're doing this evaluation, it says, goals need to be SMART goals. I mean, it's part of the superintendent evaluation rubric that there's SMART goals. And I'm arguing there's not SMART goals here.
But one of the things that we've also learned is that superintendent's rubric has not been used broadly by many or most.
All right, but I would argue that SMART
and
goals.
because of how difficult it is, and because of how prescriptive it is.
Well, it's certainly, like, all those indicators and all those subcategories are nuts. But SMART goals is something that the MASC must say ad nauseum at everything we do. And that's all I'm arguing for, is I'm just
Okay,
arguing
and-
for goals that are measurable.
Okay, and I would argue that through NISIP and through his mentor, that we've got a really good indication of what good practices are.
I agree, Aaron.
And that's part of why we buy into the whole superintendent induction program.
Sure.
Because we know that that things are being sort of done consistently according to the people who have the most knowledge about it.
Sure.
I don't know, yeah, it feels very awkward for you to just be, I would imagine, sitting here wondering like, okay, so what the hell do I do now? Do you think it's reasonable, or let me ask, because I see it in some places and not necessarily in all, to Suzanne's point about having measurable goals, do you think that based on all the work that you've done, and I'm seeing things that you have not submitted to us that you are just working on, as well as the pared down version that you used for the presentation, do you think that you can add to the document some deliverables that you believe are what will help define your success?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think at this point, it's probably smart to take a look at it again. But I would say, goal 3, district improvement plans, different improvement measures, 100% of leadership meetings are documented, 2 times per month with the admin team. We're implementing 100% of administrators are going to be on Teach Point for the evaluation system. Is that not?
No, I think the only 2 goals that don't have them are 1 and 4.
Okay, so 4 is
Right?
tricky
Okay.
because, and I
Right.
will say, NISIP asked me to put in 4. I was gonna leave 4 out.
I agree with you. I
So-
totally agree with you.
So let me take another crack
And
at
what's
goal 1.
number 4?
It's like
a
the,
professional practice one.
yeah, that's like the standard, everybody was in NISIP, sort of had that. Let me take another crack at goal 1.
And it was really like you're attending.
Yeah,
And
this
that
is
was a
like,
goal.
this is like, I mean, honestly, you're right. It's not even necessary because it's your program
It's
and
your
you have
job.
to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, right,
it's
it's
your
not even
job.
necessary, but I would argue that 2 and 3, you have things that you're gonna do. You're gonna show logs, you're gonna make sure you have 100% of this done or.
Okay, so we're talking
So we're
about,
talking, what, can I have some time to take another crack at goal one then?
of course.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not even like, honestly, it's just, I'm just arguing for just defining it better.
Okay.
And I'm not criticizing the goal, or I'm not criticizing the measures or anything. I just,
Okay, so let's do this. Let's put this to bed with that of goal 1, you're going to bring some, you're gonna let us know by the time we meet 2 weeks from now, and you can do it by email. Give us 2 things that we can judge you on.
Okay.
I mean, you don't even have to tell us, I mean, I don't even.
You don't?
It's not even
Yeah,
important.
I mean,
I don't
you're saying
understand
It's important to put it in there, but it's not,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say those are bad.
Well,
But I'm just saying, like, if you do it and that's what you wanna say
Okay.
you're gonna accomplish, like.
then that's what it is.
I'm happy to vote, like, this is fine. Just-
Okay.
I'm happy to vote and just say,
So he doesn't need to send it.
he doesn't, you don't
just
need
needs
to,
to
you don't need
identify
approval.
it for
You don't need
himself.
to approve, you don't need approval on how you're gonna, what you're gonna accomplish each
And what are we
year.
But
voting
that's,
on.
but you're actually saying exactly the opposite.
No, I'm not. I'm saying.
Yes, you are.
Okay, like,
I'm saying he has perfectly fine goals, like that he's gonna do this whole project over 3 years is a great goal. I'm just saying it's not measurable. So break that goal into measurable, and I don't care how you break it in. You can do 1% the first year and 95% the third
Okay.
year.
But again,
Whatever you want, but
it sounds like we're getting prescriptive again. I thought the consensus from the group was that the superintendent would go back and tweak it, not go back and go do a line by line in goal 1 and put goals on every single item in here. I mean, that's what
It's
I'm
not even-
hearing
He's
now.
got one goal.
I will say, it sounds like with one goal, that it would be fair to say, because it's a 3-year goal, what are the stops along the way?
So, just listening to this and reading back, I mean, I do think that my mindset with goal 1 was, like I said before, was to learn the strengths and weaknesses of the entire K through 12. So that's probably why I didn't have the same amount of measurables as the other goals, just because it lended itself to sort of like, I need to figure out what I want to measure.
So that's a perfect first year goal. Report out strengths and weaknesses of the district and what the focus is gonna be for the next
Yeah.
2 years,
Yeah.
is what I'm saying. Like, that these big goals are broken down into things that sort of show what the path of the whole goal is.
Okay, I would argue that he would be doing that anyway,
But
but if
he
this is
didn't-
gonna help you,
But if he didn't get that done the first year, and he said, I'm working on that, or I'm thinking about doing that, or whatever else, this is what's gonna get done. Like, that there's progression towards, I mean,
okay.
you're right.
I don't
he's
think
gonna
he needs to do it either. I'd like to hear what Glenn has to say on this as well.
Okay. All right, so I do understand, Suzanne, what you're saying. We can't micromanage a process. Okay, this is a pass-fail. If the superintendent over 3 years doesn't meet the goals and expectations that he is setting out in goal 1, then we can react as we react. I personally don't need a goal part A to say, I did X in the first year to meet this goal. I don't need to say, I thought about this and I wrote about it and I now know K to 6. I personally don't need that. I don't believe we need to micromanage to that level. It's not as if the superintendent doesn't show up at every meeting we have and we talk about this. If it makes everyone feel better, then we put it on an agenda, and it's already on an agenda that the superintendent reports every update of every meeting we have.
No, yeah, definitely not.
I think that I'm looking, I mean, I trust this particular person 100% that you are absolutely correct, right? but I'm looking at the position, and I'm looking at our procedures and our protocols for doing things, right? And if we're waiting for 3 years to see that he gets done, but he's done crap in the first year, I'm not waiting for 3 years to fire him. This is not you. This is just
Yeah.
someone in your position, right? I'm not waiting for 3 years to say, oh my God, you didn't do it, you gotta go. And that's sort of what this is about for me. But not you, because I know you and you have a proven track record, and I'm not saying this because it's you. I'm saying this because who's ever in this position, or it's just how I think, and I'm pushing it on you guys, and I'm gonna back off because I feel pushback. But this is how I think, and I need data. And I need objective stuff, not just subjective stuff, and that's me. And I hear that you guys are okay with relaxing a little bit.
I want to acknowledge what you just said, because over the years in working with you, I'll never forget that first technology plan that we got, that you were like, this is garbage.
Not a plan.
This is not a plan. This is a shopping list. And I appreciate that you and I think very differently, and that you are bringing this. I think that based on this conversation here, what I'm hearing, and I think it's reasonable, and I have a feeling that you think it's reasonable too, that you're gonna you're gonna flesh out number one a little bit in a way that, to Suzanne's point, is not about us telling you that that's right or wrong, but just identifying what it is, that how you will define it as successful.
Yeah.
Does that,
Yes,
Okay.
because
does that feel okay? Does that feel okay? That this is in Jason's court. He's been asked to add a little bit detail to it, not dramatic, but he's been asked to add some detail to it that will help us to understand what he believes.
If we're talking about goal number one, I thought Glenn said it very well a minute ago. It's like, it's already there, and it's for us to evaluate what's already there, not to get into additional. I don't think we need anything more on number one, and
Okay.
I guess the other thing I just wanted to add was, I don't look at the superintendent's progress in a vacuum. It's like, okay, in 6 months, let's unseal it and see what's going on. We're taking in information all the time. At every meeting, in between meetings, we're getting information. So when we get to a 6-month or a 12-month milestone, we're fully informed, and we can, as hopefully, 5 intelligent people looking at your progress can evaluate in a reasonable way, and not have to rely on these other things, which again, especially for this one, probably aren't needed. So again, just my thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, the second part of it is kind of like, you're gonna give us an annual report as well of analyzing of everything that you did in that goal. What John is like saying, like, you're gonna update us and show us these action plans throughout the year, and by the time that we do see that yearly report, we kind of already know that these were the things that we're working for it. But if we don't see them along the way, then I think that's where Suzanne is kind of coming from, where it's like, well, I don't know how to measure you at this point because I don't know what the pieces were along the way. But I do kind of see that you are going to build something. And if we don't see something or hear something, then that's when we know that there's a concern. But I do kind of agree that it looks fine as it is for now, since it is mostly a goal to learn the parts that you don't know, since it is true, you know the middle school very well, but this building is completely different, and we have a new one next to the middle school, and you're just trying to understand it, which I don't feel like this goal is also like set in stone as either, because I can totally see you in year 2 being like, okay, here, after everything that I learned, these are definitely the hard things that I'm going to be going after, because they're the areas that I saw of weakness, but then these are the other areas that I saw that we can definitely improve because they're low hanging fruit.
All right, I'm going to ask somebody to make a motion, and let's just put this to bed by taking a vote, whether it's a yes or a no. If somebody can make a motion, one way or
So
another.
moved.
No, don't so move it, make a
Oh,
motion.
I'm sorry, I'll make a motion to accept the goals as written.
Second.
Okay. Does anybody want to say anything before we vote? All right. Glenn, what's your vote?
Yes.
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 Suzanne?
No?
I'm going to vote yes. So there it is. I think that this does not need to be a contentious thing. I think this doesn't need to be a contentious thing. And I do think that your points are valid and will happen naturally.
Oh, I don't feel any ill will or contention at all. This is fine. I can't argue for something and then not have any changes and vote for it. I mean, I still feel strongly, but I'm not.
Like, what do you mean can't have any changes?
I mean, I can't argue a point and not have any changes made and vote yes.
Do you really think that no changes were made?
He just said we're gonna accept the plan as it is. And, but that's.
But you've already said to him that he's already said that he's going to add to it.
But we just voted to accept the plan as it is.
Okay.
That's,
Okay, then
that's
I'm-
all,
I'm gonna-
that's what I voted
Okay,
on.
then I'm
That-
gonna-
That's, yes.
I will let it go.
Change it or don't change
Well,
it.
that's what I was just gonna say. So I'm,
You
now,
are-
am I, I'm,
You don't have to. We just voted on the plan the way it is. And honestly, I get what everyone's saying, and it's my hang up that I need something more.
So you are good to go.
You're good to go.
We are going to check in 6 months in a way that we have not done in the last few years. And I think that will be just be the first in a long time that we've been doing this. And I think that will be really helpful to make sure that this is a document that is alive and working for all of us. Okay? Sorry that was
Like
With
so
something.
So circular. We ended where we started.
Yeah, I don't know what adjective to throw on that, but I hope, that was a lot. Okay. I don't think we have anything on the subcommittee's lists because we weren't even planning on being here tonight. So unless there's something specific to talk about, I'm going to just table it. Okay? And then we come to actions and votes. And we have two, I'm going to treat this as a consent agenda since they are two basic things. So if somebody can make a motion that I can make this a consent agenda.
I make a motion that we have actions and votes A and B be part of the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving these actions and votes, the regular session subcommittee meeting of the whole minutes from October 23rd and the regular session minutes from October 23rd?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Glenn?
Oh,
Oh,
I think we lost him.
all right. Okay, well, we still have 4 votes, so that is an approval. And then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Wait, we just made a consent agenda. Do we vote yes? Did we just?
Oh, sorry, I just took, the motion was to accept both of them in one vote.
Oh, I thought put it on the consent agenda. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, so the motion was to
Perfect.
put both of them
I'll make a
on the whole.
motion to end the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We are adjourned, oh, sorry, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye. All in favor, 7:10, we're
Oh, Glenn's
adjourned.
back.